Hi everyone, that's the antenna for the remote start. There's the remote. I got two remotes. They're kind of like the old remote that I had for the Silver Fusion. He couldn't program the old remote that I had for the Silver Fusion because he said that I would have had to have the old system so I could deactivate it and reactivate it to the new system. But those are similar remotes. He said this is a good remote. The remote start is a good system. The technician had some issues because the technician thought I didn't have heat and air in this, and I said no, I do, because he said it wasn't, my blower motor wasn't working, and I said it worked when I got here. I said he's probably got it set on auto and it's set on floor. I said because I had it set on floor. As soon as he figured out what I had it set on, he turned it on. He goes, oh yeah, your heat and air does work. It's like, yeah. It took him 2 hours altogether with the long-range remotes, the remote start installed. It was like $482. I had a $360 in cash, and then I had to put the $120 some on my debit card. Oh shit! I need to get over. I didn't realize I was on Central Avenue already. Because I'm gonna head home because my stomach is bothering me. Because I had a sub from Subway while I was waiting for this, because this took 2 hours. I had a sub from Subway and some cookies and a large drink, and now my stomach is bothering me. I just want to get home and lay down for a little bit. Oh, excuse me. Still got the plastic on the remotes. He says you just push and hold the key button, and he says it'll start it. So, because the car was running when I went out to the car. And there's still got the plastic on the antenna. Not anymore, I just took it off. I'll take the plastic off the He goes, actually, for a car having close to 200,000 miles, he says it's a pretty good little car. I said, yeah. I said, when it was giving me problems yesterday, I said I was getting upset, and I said when I was found out that it was possibly a grounding issue with the 12-volt battery underneath the hood. He goes, yeah, he says these hybrids, he said if their battery doesn't have the 12-volt battery underneath the hood, doesn't have a full contact connection, he said you will have warning messages and everything else. He said, was the battery cable loose? I said, it was a little loose. He said, that's probably what was giving you the problems yesterday. I said, yeah. I said, the car's running fine today. Because I did some reading, and the Ford dealership, they even told me, they said if you were having so many problems like with the blind spot monitoring, cross traffic, check engine light, and then that stop safely message, he said more than likely it was a grounding issue with the 12-volt battery. That's what they told me on the phone. And when I tightened it up, took it off and then tightened it up, it seemed like it was working fine. So that's probably what the whole issue was, because now the car runs fine. Because I told him the reason why I needed the remote start at TAS. I said, I deliver newspapers, I said, and I got a higher position at the one newspaper. I said I work for two newspapers. Told him I work for the Crescent News and the Toledo Blade. I said, the Crescent News, I said I've been there for 9 years, and I said they decided to put me as a distribution manager, and I said with me being at the Crescent News for 2 hours, because I have to be there 35 to 40 minutes before the truck gets there, another 20 some minutes for them, for drivers and myself to sort, unless it takes longer, and then another hour to get everything done. So I'm there 2 hours. if I can have this running for at least a half hour to 40 minutes before I leave the Crescent, then I wouldn't have to go in a cold car. I can even sit in the house and start this up before I leave to go get the papers, which would help me out. Next thing I need to do for this is I need to get an oil change, because this is about overdue on an oil change. And I'm going to stop it right here. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good day. Bye.